You guys, it's Caden. I'm here with my mom again.
Hi.
Hey, hi. So we're gonna tell you the story about how my mom experienced or got to live a day in the life of my shoes, kind of, sort of. So, um, yeah. So I'll just try to tell the story as quick as possible, so she can like give her um, feelings, but express herself about it. But yeah, so basically what happened is that we were going to the same hairdressing academy, is what they call it, and I started a month before her, and I had been stealth pretty much the entire time. There was two people who went to high school with me, so they obviously knew, but they hadn't said anything, so I was still stealth. And when my mom started, obviously she called me her son and stuff, so I was still stealth then. And eventually, one of the girls developed a crush on me, and we started like hanging out and stuff. And I don't know what I'm doing with my head. And it got to the point where she wanted to date me basically, and I wasn't really feeling her, but I was like kind of like settling for her because I did have a crush on this one girl, but she was unavailable, so I was just kind of like settling for this girl. Anyway, I'm a bad person, I know, whatever. Anyway, so I decided to tell her that I was trans, just because I felt the need to, because a lot of the times in relationships when things do start to get serious, I just like to let them know because it's kind of not something, especially if you're gonna be like sleeping with that person and stuff, and like getting pretty intimate, like it's sort of hard to keep that from them, or like shots, stuff like that. So it's just easier instead of like trying to be stealth with your girlfriend or significant other, whatever that person is to you.
So we had a conversation together.
We had a conversation.
Yeah, me and you. Remember? And you were like, I think I should tell her, but I think I shouldn't. And I was like, maybe you shouldn't because it might get around. You never know because you never could trust anybody. But you were like, but I have to because if something happens, she needs to know. And I was like, but think about it. Are you sure? Because I just didn't want you to get hurt or anybody to open their mouth. So yeah.
But we do have that conversation a lot. Like when I'm
Yeah.
dating girls and stuff, I do tell you, hey, I might tell them, or I might tell them, or whatever. So
And I'm just like, are you sure? Are you positive? Like, I don't know, something that you have to make sure of because people are stupid and they have a big mouth and they end up doing stuff in spite and jealousy or because they can't have you and because you want to move on and you want to do you. So, yeah.
yeah. So I mean, this is something that I deal with regularly, in my dating life. So, and my mom is very a part of my life, so I talk to her a lot. So, anyway, we had that conversation, and then after I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell her, and I told her, and that girl, my mom had been talking and stuff. So all three of us had been talking. So we all knew what was up. Anyway, after a while, we kind of fell out because she just got very like clingy and stuff like that. And I mean, if you know me, like I can't really handle that. And it was just too much. She was like overbearing, and I told her that I just wanted to be friends and all that. And she was like, okay, whatever. But she was still really persistent on trying to be with me. And so I was trying to avoid her, not, to be rude, but just to let her know, like, I don't like you. We can just be friends, but this is not going to go anywhere any further than that. And I started getting close with this, the girl I had a crush on. I mean, I have crushes on, like, every girl, so it doesn't really matter. But we're going to call this girl the girl I had a crush on. And me and my mom started getting close with her. And, I'd still been stealth, and, the girl was like, I'm not going to tell anyone because her best friend had a crush on me and he was gay. And, so that was like a thing, and that's a whole nother story. But anyway, so they were really close, and I was like, please don't tell anybody, and especially not him. And she, more than positive, she told him. And, because I had told her something else about that, and he messaged me, and so it was just weird. It was a weird situation. And but I was like, she's really close with my mom. They talk, so I don't think anything's gonna be a big deal. And you know, they were still talking even after me and her stopped, so I was like, you know, everything's fine. Um, and then one day, the her the gay guy, the gay best friend, he started getting close with this other girl in my class, and they started making me feel uncomfortable, like they were talking about me and stuff. And it was just a weird vibe that I was getting, and I just felt weird. But I was like, okay, whatever. Like I just ignored it. And then one day, I was sitting next to that girl she was getting close with, and you know that was making me feel weird. And the girl I had a crush on, and another girl, and the girl I had a crush on was doing this other girl's hair, and I was like sitting next to them talking to them, and they brought up this trans guy that also went to school there, and they started asking, you know, is that a boy, is that a girl, and you know I was just like, I don't know, you know, they called him a he presents himself as male, so I'm gonna say he's a he, you know, and that's basically all I really said. And the girl next to us that was, you know, giving off the weird vibes with the gay guy, the gay best friend, pulled the girl I had a crush on to the side, whispered in her ear, and then, you know, let her go, and then was like, he's a boy, stop talking about it, you know, like, shut up. And it was awkward. It was like an awkward experience. And I just kind of looked at her, and I was like, okay. And then later on, you know, I was kind of felt that either she told, you know, the girl I had a crush on that I was trans, like she outed me right then and there, or that she, you know, she was saying something, or, you know, like just something. I felt like something was up. So, anyway, I just let it go. And then the next day, the girl I had a crush on asked me about what Caden meant, and, you know, obviously Caden is what I use on the internet and stuff, and it's the name I was going by, you know, in high school and stuff, because that was almost going to be my name. So she asked me about that, and I was like freaked out, because I was like, why are you asking me about that? Because like one of the guys in my class would call me that every once in a while, because he knew about it, but not because of the trans thing, but because of poetry, because I do like to use that name for when I write and stuff, and just I like that name. That's a lovely name. I like it. I like having like two names. Anyway, and so that was weird to me, and I was like, why do you want to know? But I was just like, you know, when I write, it's the alias I used to go by it in high school, and I still do every once in a while, because, you know, it's a cool name. And that kind of just set me off, and I was like, why? You know, like, why do you want to know? And she was like, oh, I was just wondering, you know, and I was like, okay. So it kind of made me feel like she knew, but I was just like, whatever, I'll drop it. And later on, we hung out, me, my mom, and the girl I had a crush on, and I had finally asked her, you know, what did that girl whisper to you in your ear? And she was like, oh, it was just really confusing. I didn't know what she was saying, but she just said that don't talk about those kind of things in front of, you know, people, because it might make them uncomfortable. And you know, Damien's right there, so just stop talking about it. And she wouldn't really like say like specifically, but she was kind of like, you know, walking around it, and like I caught the hint, and I was just like, okay, and I like dropped it again. And then later on that night, I told my mom, I was like, she knows, and I bet if she knows, that means everybody knows. So, and my mom was like, no,
maybe not.
Yeah, and so I was like, no, she knows.
So then, okay, so I told this girl that we had told about it. I told her never to say anything, not even to her best friend, not even to this guy she really hung around with every day. I was like, that's just something that should be between us, because he didn't have to tell you, you know, but he decided to tell you because you really liked him, so he had to tell you. So we need to keep this between us, you know, like, don't let it out, like, don't tell anybody. This is just between all of us, and don't say nothing, because this can ruin lives, and it's just something that's hard to deal with. So I'm like, he has enough problems as it is now, that I don't think you should ever tell anybody, like anybody. So she was like, no, I'm not going to say anything to anybody. It's between us, and I'm not even going to tell my best friend, and that's something he doesn't need to know. So when Damian was telling me that these people knew. I was like, no, maybe not. Like, it didn't seem to me like anybody knew, because in my class, no one knew. And nothing was going around. So I was just like, no, like, and he was like, yeah, Mom, yeah. And I know, and I just know, and I just know. And so then I was like, okay. So the next morning, I text the girl that was hanging out with us. And
the girl I have a crush on.
yeah. And so I was like, do you know anything about my son? And she was like, yeah. And then that's when she had said, yes, I know that he is trans and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, who told you? But she wouldn't say who. She didn't get into the detail. She didn't say no names. She just said that it was going around, and her and Jen had, her and this other girl had knew for 2 weeks. And yeah, and they didn't know how to approach any of us. They didn't know what to ask. They were just like, maybe not. Like, maybe that's just people saying, maybe he isn't, maybe it's a lie, maybe these people are dumb. So they didn't know what to do or anything. So yeah. And so then I was like, I was really heartbroken. So the next day, I go to this school, right?
And I wasn't at school that day.
I was crying that whole morning, like, even in the bathroom when the person had said that they had found out. I was like, literally, like, just crushed, heartbroken. I just didn't know how to react or anything, but the only thing that I knew what to do is cry, and I didn't even want to go to school that day. So I ended up going. I was crying the whole morning, and I was so pissed off because I literally wanted to beat the shit out of this person. And I didn't care. I didn't care if I got kicked out of school. I didn't care about anything. And I knew if I got my hands on this person that she was going to be literally hurt, and I wouldn't have been able to stop myself. So yeah. So I tried to avoid her as much as I could, and she ended up coming up to me, and things got a little bit crazy. But someone had told me, don't do anything because she might press charges on you. And so I kind of thought that at the time. But she was like in my face at the time, and I was going to go and sock her or whatever. And that's when someone ended up coming in front of us and was like, no, no, no. So I was like, okay. So I was like really pissed off though. And I hated her that whole day. And I came home. I cried the whole day. Like, my whole day was ruined because this was something that me and my son wanted to go to school with each other. We wanted to, help each other out, and we wanted to graduate. I wanted my son to graduate. I wanted him to be a barber, and I wanted to graduate. And that's not what happened. So I came home and I cried, and then I didn't go to school for 2 days, and I literally hate this chick. And I don't know if I'll ever really like her ever again, because this is something that you trust someone with, and they have to go and like ruin it, whatever the circumstances is, or whatever anything is. Like, you don't say something personal, private, and confidential between all of you. You just don't say anything. And I know because the people that did go to school with him didn't say nothing, because none of my classmates even knew or anything. So we know that it wasn't the people that went to school with him. So we know that it was the person that wanted to be with my son. So yeah.
I mean, like, a disclaimer, we're not trying to bash her or anything and say like it was her, but I mean, putting two and two together, there's really only so much. So on that note, how does that, because this is something I deal with like on a day-to-day, so how does that, like, you kind of got to experience that, you got to like live in my shoes for a day, so like how was that, like how does that make you feel, knowing, like, having that experience now?
It makes you feel like your whole identity, your whole life that you want to be, and you just want to be free, is shit now. Like, it's like, you're crushed. You're like, okay, I don't want to go through all this. I've already been through it. In high school, I was, whatever. You were out there. You were put out there. And so you just wanted to be in a school where everybody just thought you were Damian, So I don't know, it just kind of sucked because it was like, okay, now your whole life, your whole career is crushed because now you're like, screw it, you know, you're not there no more, and I don't want to really be there, but I'm there, and it just sucks because people are stupid and ignorant, and it shouldn't have happened the way it did, but it did. So it is what it is, and I just think that, gosh, like, let people live, let people be free, let people do what they want. And if you are in a relationship, or you're gonna be in a relationship, and someone tells you that, like, keep it confidential, keep it private, keep it between you. And no matter what happens, no matter if the person breaks up with you, no matter if you're in love with someone, don't go and bash them, and don't go and tell people. Like, it's no one's business. Okay, get over it, move on, you know, because this is something serious, and this is people's lives, and it's not fun at all to be going through. And for you, I'm sure it's even harder. Like, I'm the mom, like, it's hard for me, but I'm sure it's harder for you. So yeah.
Yeah, like, so she got to, like, experience, like, she got to live the life of a transgender person for a day, and, like, see, you know, the stuff we have to go through on, like, a regular basis. And like she said, this is something I have already gone through multiple times, so this isn't the first time I've gone through something like this. Sorry for the doorbell, and also we gotta go, but we're almost done. Hold on. And did he text you back? Yeah, just go. Okay. And I did end up telling my classmates, because we were a really close class, so I was just like, you know what, this has been going around, and I'm going to set the record straight. And I had taken a moment, and I thought about, you know, going MIA, which I am moving to Georgia, but I'm not going to go MIA, I'm just moving, and that's a lot of reasons. Also, I'm not quitting barber college just because I got outed. Like, I'll speak about this more later on, but, you know, this is something that was, like, really intense, and I lost my train of thought, but this is something that was, like, real, that happened, that we had to deal with. That you know, like, the people you care about have to deal with this too, and my mom had to experience it, and it was weird watching her go through it and still go through it, and it's interesting. And one thing that I want to say is that in a previous video I brought up, like, the social media, because I said, like, you know, I was thinking about going MIA, and I'm not, because I don't think I should have to hide, you know, and I don't think this had to have happened. So
Yeah.
Before we go, and because we have to go right now, but before we go, what do you have to say? Because, you know, that person did say, oh, it's on social media, so that's how they find out, is social media. What do you, because I do, you know, I make videos, and, you know, I don't really say anything, but I do say on my YouTube, so what do you have to say about that?
And even though you watch it and you find out stuff, keep it between yourself. Like, you don't have to go and tell everybody, like, oh my gosh, like, it's such a big deal or whatever. I think you guys should watch it. If you guys watch it or do anything, I think you guys should just keep it between you and don't say nothing at all to anyone. So that's what I think. I think that you should just move on. Why is it a big deal? Why make it a big deal?
You should, and you know, come to the source. Don't talk to other people. Come to the source first. And also, like I said, we shouldn't have to hide. So that's why I've already went MIA once, and, you know, nobody wants to, you know, be hiding themselves all the time. And I'm not advertising myself all the time, like, hey, I'm trans, hey, what's up, I'm trans, but I'm also not, you know, hiding in the closet. And I have before, and I have lied about it, and I've talked about that in previous videos, but, you know, we have to go, so that's my mom's down. But, you know, this is something serious, and you shouldn't have to hide it. Like, we do get, like, even if I wasn't on social media, I would still have to deal with this. I would still get harassed, and people would still, you know, talk about it and bring it up and out me. And, you know, it sucks. And I think what sucks for me is watching my mom go through it, because I've seen, like, my girlfriends and stuff go through it before, but, you know, my family go through it, like, when I was on the news and stuff, but my mom, like, has, like, kind of lived in my shoes. Like, nobody that I care about has actually lived in my shoes. My mom did, and I think that's what's, like, the hardest for me. So yeah, that's what happened.
I've got this.
She got this, and she's gonna graduate for me, and I'm gonna go to Georgia and work my butt off and do what I gotta do for me, and then I'm gonna get my stuff together, and I'm gonna graduate.
And no one mess with my kids, because you'll see this fist in your face.
That's actually not a joke, because she was, like, this close, so I love you.
Love you.
We gotta go. So
So
peace out.
peace.